Good morning to all of you present here. I, Shailendra Kumar Tiwari, Student Manager, BIIB, feels immense pleasure to introduce our guest, Mr. Kapil Saraf, Senior Vice President, Hindustan Cargo Limited. Sir has done his post-graduation in International Trade from the Indian Institute of Foreign Trade. Sir is a part of management team at Hindustan Cargo Limited, the freight forwarding arm of Avashya Group that has a turnover of rupees 350 crores. In his present role, he heads the business development and RFQ and pricing function for the organization. Prior to this, Sir was the COO of Gati's international business, where he was credited with turning around this division in a short span of time. At Panalpina World Transport, which is a Swiss logistic company, he single-handedly introduced the concept of large Indian key and corporate account, a first for a company that was previously driven by global account. At UTI, that is a US-based logistic company, where he was the National Africa Route Development Manager, he was selected as one of the 40 people selected globally from a workforce of over 17,000 professionals as a global emerging talent of the organization. Sir firmly believes that even in adverse circumstances, companies can grow through business value creation, managing customer experience, and achieving cost excellence. Now, I may request Sir to kindly enlighten us with his words of wisdom.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, it is a great pleasure to be here, with the young professionals. Let me first, tell you, you've been listening to a couple of the people, though it is still the morning time. I would have thought that had it been the lunch time, you would have taken some kind of different pills to be awake. But I think being the morning time, you're still awake now. But let me tell you, a story about a young, beautiful girl living in a jungle. Guys, come back. We are here for some serious purpose, huh? Okay. Let me just quickly tell you, 16 years back when I started my career, I graduated from the IIFT Delhi, and I still remember and I still feel so honored to be actually, coming to the institutes to really meet up with the young professionals whom, and I can, very clearly relate to how we used to think while we were graduating and while our campus season was approaching and we were all getting geared up for, to enter the corporate life. I being from the logistics and supply chain industry, I've seen, when rather we graduated about 16 years back, we used to think the logistics industry was a very raw, very unorganized, sector. So I'll just keep this, presentation very interactive, because I also really want to know from your perspective as to how you think. I will of course give you my perspective and the organization perspective as to how the organization and the industry is looking at it. But then, would also like to look at it, what is your perspective of this industry? Because 16 years back when we started, I can tell you very clearly, hardly about 2 or 3 students in the class used to opt for this industry. I am being very candid about it. Only 2-3 of the students and about a batch of 120 odd people used to, even apply for this industry. So just to ask you, what do you guys think about the industry? Anybody, or what do you know about the industry? What do you, what comes to your mind when you think about the logistics industry?
Yes, operation guys.
Anybody, it can be the silliest of the question, doesn't matter, we've all gone through these phases. Yeah. Yeah.
We have seen industries moving towards more towards the logistics sides. They are keeping their heads, vice presidents also on the logistics base, and we have also seen like the online marketing done by the Amazon or by the Flipkart. They are supplying the material in just one span of 1 day time. So this industry is very emerging in India and the world too.
Okay. But why should you choose a career in logistics and supply chain? Why not the banking? Why not the FMCG? Why not the consulting sector?
So,
Yeah.
Sir, as you know, like in India, it attracts the most of the industries to manufacture and provide all of the services. Like basically in north part of the country, various manufacturing plants are there, but the consumptions are basically season wise also or trend wise also in south part. So the cargo industries provide them a facility to approach the customer in a shorter time period. And second thing is that, sir, it also acts as due to the increase in the infrastructure facility, the roads and railways, the quality of the services, the scope of these industries are emerging in a current scenario.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay. See, I'll just give you very small. Can you? Am I audible? Okay. Just to give you a small, background. If you see, we as the logistics industry, what was the overview later? We used to think, the general perception was it's very unorganized. You have the transportation, you have to deal with the transporters, and you have to do the transportation from point A to point B. Correct? That is what used to people think about. That logistics means just the transportation, and very unorganized sector. Also, a very less visibility. Okay, because of being such an organized, unorganized sector, it was visibility was very low. So people never knew about logistics companies. Very unskilled manpower, has to do with a lot of labor, has to do with a lot of people who are there, who are managing the logistics on a ground level. Lack of infrastructure. We all are still going through the same phase, though of course we've seen some improvement, but still have a long way to go. And a very important point was a misfit for women. People, used to think that, logistics industry is not fit for women. But now things have really changed. I'll also give you a small perspective about how things have changed over a period of time. And let me just tell you one thing, we picked up 3 students from SBS last year, 2 from Symbiosis. And this presentation today actually has been prepared by those 3 guys from Balaji. You can only say that I'm actually talking on their behalf. It was actually those 3 gentlemen and the other 2 from Symbiosis who really put in these thoughts together. So I've kept it very, very simple. There are no jargons in it. Very simple, so that, the whole idea when I was actually interacting with them, they said that we need to connect with people. It's very important we need to connect with you and see as to what are your thoughts. What is something, the ground level realities which are there, which can help you to think about this industry, to see how this industry can be one of your industries to go with, or if you would like to drop this industry, both ways. So the current scenario, I would say that though the industry is still fragmented, it is not a very, very organized industry today. But I think, today if you see the logistics cost constitutes about 15 to 20% of the product cost. So anything which gets manufactured, the logistics cost for it to reach the consumer is about 15 to 20% of the cost. Then, which really states about the importance of the skilled manpower. Today, logistics and supply chain has become so very critical to a lot of these manufacturing companies. Right from the idea of, I'll explain you, and I'll share with you one example. There's a new company in India called Scania. Now, how many people have heard about this company called Scania? Yeah. What does this company do? Okay. So what do? They run these trucks, they manufacture these trucks. Good, very good. Yeah, this is a company called Scania Commercial Vehicles, which is a Swedish company. They have just about 1 year back, recently, they set up their manufacturing plant near Bangalore. And they are into production of mining trucks and commercial buses. Like you see the Mercedes and Volvo buses, very shortly you will see the Scania buses on the road. So, when they actually, were entering into India, they actually wanted, a logistics partner who can guide them right from setting up of their operations in India to be able to compete with the likes of the Daimler Chrysler and Volvo trucks and buses which are already there in India. And when they actually contacted us, we advised them and we guided them as to how and what they should do to be able to compete with their competitors. So it starts from right from the point when these companies are setting up their bases in India. So it is very, very interesting today. I can tell you this. Today, you actually, when you actually consult with them, you even talk to their senior management of the organization. And while, when we take our students, the management students that we take, we actually pick them up for corporate sales. So our profile is very, very clear in our mind. We do not want initially for them to get into operations. We want them to spearhead the business development function from a corporate sales point of view. And today, all 5 of the students that we took last year, they are all a part of our corporate sales team, corporate BD team that we call it. So it's very interesting. Today, women, comprise about 25% of the industry. So right from about 2 to 3%, today, women are very, very participating in this industry. We have a lot of women who also are doing extremely well in the corporate BD role, doing extremely well in the corporate key accounts management role, and also operations and HR role. Logistics industry today stands at about $100 billion in India, which is a large industry today. We have almost, I'm saying about large size companies, we have almost about 200 large size companies operating in India today, both in terms of multinationals and Indian companies. We have a lot of multinational companies today who have come into India because there is a 100% FDI allowed in the logistics and supply chain industry. There's also the implementation of GST, which will definitely help reduce our cost and boost the growth. I'll quickly explain you how, see, like on the warehousing side today, there are a lot of companies who have a lot of warehouses, who may have about 40 warehouses across the country to fulfill their customers' need, be it HUL, be it P&G, be it Colgate-Palmolive. They all have a lot of warehouses to be able to take care of their customers. But with this GST, they will be able to reduce their small warehouses. So there's a lot of new activities, a lot of growth which can happen with the GST, and we are seriously waiting for it. I also wanted to just touch upon some of the services that are being offered by the logistics industry. Though I'm sure most of you would know about it, but then as an integrated services, these are the services that we provide in terms of international sea freight, international air freight, the customs clearance, which is very, very important activity, the ports, the CFS and ICDs, which have been built to take care of the infrastructure, the projects and engineering and transportation. There are a lot of big energy and power projects which are building in India, and there is a very complex kind of a project and engineering transportation which is required. Just over, I'll just share with you, we as a company, Hindustan Cargo Limited is a part of the All Cargo Logistics Avashya Group. We have a project and engineering division, and what they did, if you can see this projects and transportation picture over there, what they did was, there is a Reliance project in Sasan. To actually move the entire units, the entire material of the factory, we had to build a bridge. A 1.5 kilometers bridge was built by us to be able to move these goods. So you can imagine the kind of engineering involved in the logistics. We've always heard about engineering as an engineering perspective, but in terms of logistics, a lot of engineering is required to be able to make, because these are very heavy and very expensive raw material. Sometimes these projects can cost you 2,000, 3,000 crores. So you're actually carrying an inventory of 2,000, 3,000 crores. So we need to be so critical about handling them. This is a quick one on the Hindustan Cargo. Have some people heard about Hindustan Cargo Limited? Not many. Have you guys heard about All Cargo? You've heard about. Okay, great. Let me tell you, just a quick one. Hindustan Cargo Limited was a Thomas Cook company. It was actually the logistics division of Thomas Cook, which was acquired by the All Cargo, which is now the Avashya Group, because today All Cargo has become so big that it has 7 verticals under the banner of the Avashya Group. And we as HCL, we call it, Hindustan Cargo Limited, we are a part of the Avashya Group. These are the services, as we explained. I don't know whether it's coming full. Let me also understand, what are to make it more interactive, what are the expectations of young professionals? We used to have our expectations when we started. Let us understand that, what are your expectations? I'm sure you would definitely have something in mind, when you join a particular industry or when you're going to start your career. Forget about the logistics and supply chain industry. Any industry, what are your expectations? So job profile, career growth, the culture, the package. Package was a very weak low. I don't know. We guys when we started, we used to think a lot about package. So package was a very weak noise. I don't know. शायद अभी पैसा नहीं चाहिए लोगों को. Huh? No, I think that is, what is very clearly coming out of, I'll share with me, I also went back to my own institute picking up some students from the IIFT last year. And it is very clearly coming out that people are definitely looking at what is in store for me in terms of what profile. Very loud it is coming out in terms of what is the profile. Of course, it has to go along with your package. We do, note that. But it is very coming out loud in terms of what profile. What am I going to do? Am I going to be mentored? Am I going to be hand-holded when I start my career? Which is very important today. Yeah? What else would be the expectations? Address most of them. Okay, so the international exposure. Okay. Yeah, absolutely. But before we actually go in, these are some of the expectations, that are your expectations. But I think what is very important for all of you to know and to do an internal introspection. To really look at yourself, stand in front of the mirror and ask yourself, what am I doing? Or do a SWOT analysis of yourself. Sometimes we might like to be in the best of the organizations, in the best of the profile, but we also need to really understand, am I fit for it or am I ready for it? I won't say am I fit for it, but am I ready for it? So an internal introspection is very important before you actually stand up and see, okay, these are the organizations that I can apply for, or these are the organizations I would really, like to join. Also, make a list of what excites you. I think it is very important in terms of your job profile that what really excites you to do. You might be, I'll just share with you, we had hired a company called Anderson Consulting, which is now Accenture, to do a study on our international business perspective, and we were looking at a next 10-year plan of how would the industry look like and how we can grow in that industry. And some of these people were, the IIM graduates. And they said that, when they actually gave us the presentation, they took a lot of our feedback in terms of all that feedback was actually given to them was, by us only. And we had, one of the partners, I won't name the person, but the partner, one of the senior guys in this thing, had something to say, which is very interesting to listen. He says, if I could have done it, I would have done it myself, because I can't do, I consult. So a lot of times, some of the people, when they join the advisory roles in a consulting company, they then come to know that, boss, is it something that I'm built for? Would I not like to do it myself and be only in the advisory role or in the, consulting role? So, what I want to say is, do an internal introspection of yourself and decide what you want to do. Okay, now, after having listened to what are your expectations, I think I would also like to draw your attention in terms of what is the expectation of the organization. It's a very, two-way traffic, no? Yeah? So while the young professionals definitely expect few things, I'm sure the organization has a lot of expectations. And today, depending upon how rather you or your seniors have done, actually depends on your future, a lot of times, So I think because this is what, when we actually were talking with the 3 of the Balaji students who joined us last year, so we made these points to say that, the understanding of the business model is very important. For anybody who wants to join a new organization, for anybody who wants to look at this industry or any other industry, should actually understand what is the business model of that company. Where does the revenues come from? Paisa kidhar se aata hai, boss? Eventually. It's very simple. If we are in the business, we are definitely here to make money. So we should understand, where does the revenue come from? How do you make the revenues? What kind of revenues do you make? Does those, revenues are sufficient enough to, to be able to look at your ROI? Today, when you sit in the board meetings, the only question that your board team would ask you is, how much ROI do you make? मैंने आपको 500 करोड़ दिया है, what do I get at the end of the year? So you need to very clearly look at the revenue model as to how the revenue works in this industry. Follow the organizational objectives. Very important. When you join an organization, it is very important to understand what the objectives of the organizations are. Because then if you follow the objectives, there are a lot of chances that you would definitely be successful. Innovation, creativity, very important for us to really move forward. Collaborative leadership. What do you understand by collaborative leadership? Anybody? Can anybody say about collaborative leadership? It's not a jargon, my dear friends, I can tell you, it is not a jargon. I'm not talking about leadership. I'm talking about collaborative leadership. What do you think of collaborative leadership? See, a teamwork can be done by a team member. I'm talking about leadership. But then you're still working as a team. Are you leading the team? I'm talking about leadership. Okay. I'll explain you. See, today, when we talk about the corporate sales, it is very important for anybody who joins the organization in a leadership role. He needs to align various teams, which, for example, when, in the service industry specifically, when you actually sell your services to a customer, okay, you need to align the finance, you need to align the operations, and of course you need to align your own BD team. So it is very important for you to collaborate with them, at the same time lead the whole discussion. You understand? For example, if there is a customer requirement and you need to work towards that requirement, therefore you need to collaborate with all the three functions which are involved in putting forward a proposal to the customer, in putting forward a solution to the customer. So it is very important to you to collaborate, but at the same time lead the whole process. So that is very important. It's a very important task that anybody would like to do. Absolute focus on timely achievement of task budgets. Very important that a timeline which is there to achieve the budgets, and especially on the corporate profile side of it, networking and relationship building. Very, very important to network, to build your relationship. Build your relationship from a trust point of view. Today, the pricing is not so important. What is very important is the trust that you build with your customers. The pricing can be arranged, the pricing can be developed. Trust is very, very important. Now, these are some of the skills required, some of the basic skills required to really perform your activities. I'm sorry, I think the picture is a little bit going offline, but then that's how technology is to deal with it. So, a very, this high performance is a very, very important thing. When you start building the high performance levels right from the very beginning, you straight away come into a different league. When your performance, your year one, if the year one performance is high, you definitely are in the limelight. So it is very important to start as a high performance person. Some of the critical judgment, when you start your careers in a leadership role, you will have a lot of places where you have to take a decision. Though we know that there are some of these places where you do not have experience, consult with people, but take decisions. Lot of times I'll tell you, we have had failures when we have not taken a decision. It is very important to take a decision. And we know that maybe 2 or 3 times out of the 5 times when you begin your career, you might have a wrong decision. The people, see, most of the time, the problem is not because of a wrong decision. The problem is because of the indecisiveness. A lot of times people are not able to decide. We understand that at your stage, you might not be able to take some critical decisions, but consult with your seniors, consult with your mentors, and take a decision. I think these are from some of the different phases that I wanted to share my experiences with you. I started my career 16 years back with a company called Geo Logistics, but when I was offered, I had 2 offers from 2 various companies called Maersk Logistics and Geo Logistics. Have you guys heard of these companies? Have you guys heard of Geo Logistics? What is the name of the company, which is the new name of Geo Logistics? Anybody? It's called Agility. Has anybody heard of Agility? It's a large US-based organization. It's an organization which is much bigger than Maersk Logistics. So when we started our career, I wanted to share with you how we took this decision. I got both these offers, and definitely Maersk was a bigger name, in terms of a renowned name because of the shipping line, because of part of the AP Moller group. I chose Geologistics. The reason was, and the package was similar. The reason was that I was given a profile in terms of corporate sales. And while I was being given Maersk Logistics, I was given a different profile, which I wasn't keen on. So, what I want to really stress upon on this fact is, be absolutely clear of what profile you also want. Sometimes we might, basically just like about the brand, a lot of times our peers, our relatives would think about, okay, this is a brand name, boss, but it is very important for you to know what is in store for you, what will you be doing in that organization, how will you be starting there, what is the mentoring process in that organization, which is very important. Then there was, I just wanted to share the mid-course level, when you had about 6-7 years of experience and we were still cruising through, going up the corporate ladder. What was very important for us was growth, because we need, after 6-7 years of experience, we need to grow fast. And, the growth was an issue. Lot of companies, for example, I'll cite you the example, when we became the sales manager or the regional sales manager, there was already maybe a general manager sales who was there above us. And then we had no other way to really go up. And for us, growth was very important. So what do you do then? Pardon? Change the organization. Not the right option. Anybody else? Do you guys think that if you are not able to grow, is switching the right option? It's a very critical thing. I wanted to touch upon this fact. Yeah, anybody from that corner? Yeah? Some people can wake up. The cross function. So you can move into a different function. Right? Good point. Anything else? Yeah, the last guy in the corner. The white shirt and the grey tie. Hi, friend. Yeah. I'm sorry to awaken you. You're stuck, you are, you're not growing. Yeah, please.
So at the end of the year, every employee is giving a rating.
Yeah.
And for that, you have to perform to be in the top 20%. And if you improve your performance, you'll get the best rating, and then you can claim for promotion.
See, I'm talking about you are, clinching up the ladder. It's just that what happens is that the next level person whom you are reporting to is also doing extremely well. You're also doing well. But even the person who's above you is doing extremely well, which is your next level. Then what you do?
You have to wait until he is promoted or he shifts the company for a better opportunity.
So wait and watch. Somebody wanted to answer, yeah. Very good answer actually. What's your name? Pranik. Very good answer.
And sir, maybe they are not, they have to improve themselves a lot to grow.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. What is also important is that, you're actually not trying to really help anything, but, you're trying to really say, and maybe, in conversation, that if your person grows, okay, if he grows, he definitely creates a position for you. There is also another ways of growth, which is very important for you to really talk to your superiors and HR, is that in each organization, there are various detours or deviations for growth. Like I'll tell you, I'll spell, because these are more learnings from our own experiences. when I was at a sales manager level, I had a regional sales head above me. And I definitely was doing well, and my regional sales head was also doing very well. So then there were these functions which were created on country-specific route development programs. So what happened was, when I was in UTI, which was an American company, I was given to head the India-South Africa route development program. Now what happens in that function is that you have to then work along with the pan-India sales team from a corporate perspective and work with your South African sales team to really build the India-South Africa business. So I'm just quoting you, this is one of the examples. I'm sure in each of these organizations there are many more examples like this. You also have industry vertical specialists. So you don't need to just be in one of the sales function. Of course, these are also very sales related functions. But you can grow taking an offbeat and grow within that organization. Changing the organization is not the answer. My perspective. Culture definitely is a big thing that, can actually decide whether a person should work in the organization, not work in the organization. Because I'll cite, one example. While we were, two people who joined this company when we started, the other guy was from MDI in Gurgaon. And, in his team, there were issues, which did not, lead to the right perspective, and he did not really, get the growth. So sometimes you have to look at it, whether the culture is right for you, whether the, right culture fit is there or not. I'll also share with you one of the examples, and I'll ask you certain questions out of it, is that the challenges of acquisition of a large account. I'll share with you one of the project that we were actually targeting, a very large manufacturing company in a place called Jharsuguda, where we had to actually, travel by 3 modes of transport to be able to reach that place. So there are a lot of challenges that you would come across, and, that customer was a very price-sensitive customer. So you had to really come up with different strategies of how you can plug in various service levels with the pricing points to be able to serve it. I think I also wanted to share that, boss, there is no fixed formula for success. A lot of people who've done extremely well in their lives were not doing so well academically, and vice versa. So there is no fixed formula to say, this is the formula, if you do this, you're 100% going to achieve it. So, follow your passion. I think this is very, very important. Do whatever you're passionate about and do your 100%. If you're passionate about something, if you give 100%, you will 100% be successful. There is nothing that can stop you. But very important is to follow your passion, do the internal introspection before you get out. Very important. That's it from my side. Anybody has any questions? Anything about the industry, the organization, the work culture, yeah. Morning. Yeah, good afternoon.
Several ports in and around the India. So, what kind of impact it will have on road transport, sir?
Okay.
Can we see it as a threat for road transport, sir?
Threat to road transport from whom?
From this kind of railway corridors, 100% FTA, and in developing more number of ports.
Okay. So you're asking me a question whether the the road transportation sector will have a threat from the railway transportation sector.
Railways
right?
and ports.
Okay. See, I'll tell you, today, as I shared, I think one of the points that I shared, that today the logistics cost in India is almost about 15 to 20%, which is very, very high. You know, if you look at some of the Western countries, we are way out, you know, and that's why today our product costings are even higher than some of our competitions, you know, our the other competitive countries, maybe China or, you know, some of the other countries, even countries like Philippines, you know, which have really come up very well. I think there is a space for each of these sectors. There is a space for the railway sector. Actually, there is a huge improvement areas for all these sectors. So I think if the you know, railway freight corridors, you know, come up, it will definitely improve the industry. If the road infrastructure you know, like improves, it'll see. Also, I'll tell you one thing, you know, which is very, very ground level, and maybe, you know, something very interesting to note. Today, you know, a driver's son does not want to become a driver. Do you agree with me? You know, so some people, or you know, the maids or the helps that work at our homes, okay, their children do not want to become maids or drivers or house helps. You know, they don't want to become. So what will happen is, in the future, the labor will become expensive, and definitely the cost is going to increase. But how you can still optimize your cost is that actually give them the technology. Give them the right technology. Today, the drivers in the Europe or drivers in US actually also earn handsomely and they do their jobs. Okay, but they're technology driven. And the cost efficiencies are there. So you also improve their lives, you know, so that they can come up. At the same time, you're able to reduce your logistics cost, and you as an organization or as a country become competitive. So, yeah. Anybody else?
Hello sir, good afternoon. This is Sagar Palkar from SBS Operations. Sir, recently cold chain is the new concept in India, sir. Snowman Logistic with a customer like Baskin Robbins, MACD have applied for IPO and have great response. So, according to you, what are the future prospects for Hindustan Cargo to enter into the cold chain and cold storage industry?
Okay, a good question. Just to tell you, as Hindustan Cargo, All Cargo, the same group, we are already building a cold storage. We're building cold containers. Okay. Now, what these cold containers are there is that we have our own CFS, the port terminals. We own 6 port terminals in India. So, what we will be doing is we are actually buying few containers and we are building different type of temperature controlled containers within our CFS. So, if anybody wants to store even the custom bonded goods, they can store in our CFS. So that's the thing that we are doing. October, we are launching this product. But also, see, I'll tell you, there are a lot of companies like Snowman. I'm sure people might have heard of this company. They have come up with an IPO, which just closed in this week. Is that there are a lot of investments required in this industry, you know, and each industry or each business, when it looks at the industry, looks at an ROI. So this is also, we are also in that stage of doing our R&D. In terms of if we invest, what is the kind of ROI that we can make? You know, because as a commercial organization, we're not a charitable organization. As a commercial organization, we need to look at it. What is the kind of investment, the kind of returns that we can make out of this investment? But we definitely see a huge scope in this industry. We have rather a lot of companies in Pune only. Rather, one of the companies I think most of the people would know is a company called Ferrero Rocher, which is a chocolate company, you know, an Italian company. And they require a lot of these cold store warehouses and cold facilities, which we are trying to give them in our CFS. So a lot of opportunities are there in the cold chain sector. Yeah.
Good afternoon, sir. See you. Excuse me, sir.
Yeah, sorry.
So my name is Bhushan Tauri. I am from BMHRD College and I'm a marketing student. Sir, as logistic and supply chain are more operational field, sir, a marketing guy like me, which has an interest in this field, what are the job profile are provided for a fresher? So I can learn more
Okay. See, what we do is, we generally, and of course you can talk to your seniors, who are already with us, is that, when we actually took these 5 students, 2 Symbiosis, 3 Balaji, is that we actually gave them the, 3 months training period. We took them for port visits, we took them for our CFS port terminal visits, customer visits, our internal, the entire integrated logistics process. So they sat with each of the head of the departments, and we said that this is something that we want to drive as an organization. We want fresh blood in the organization. So we said all these 5 people will actually go through a full 3 months training period before they were set out for corporate sales. So now they are a part of my team in various branches across India. We have about 20 branches across India, and they are a part of the corporate sales team. So they look at in terms of acquisition of new customers, and in some cases managing some large corporate customers. Like, for example, I shared with you the example of Scania. Scania is a very large customer of ours today, so one of them manages the Scania account out of Bangalore. So there are when we look at students, we look at corporate sales, corporate business development. Yeah.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
So my name is Anuj Satir from SBS Operations Batch.
Sorry,
So
I could not hear you.
Myself, Anuj Satir from SBS Operations Batch.
Okay.
My question is, sir, like we have seen in the recent news, Amazon is launching drones to serve the customers to material.
Careful. Yeah,
to
sorry, go ahead.
serve the customers in just 30 minutes. So, sir, this will be a flop in India, or it will be successful? What are your views on it?
I'm sorry, I could not hear your question, and I'm really sorry. Maybe.
Sir, right now, Amazon
Okay.
is launching drones in India to serve the customers. The
Launching? What are they launching? What did you say?
Drones. Quadrocopter, sir.
Maybe if one person can speak. Okay. Okay. Mm-hmm.
So to serve the customers the material in just 30 minutes in time. So sir, in a country like India, it would be a flop, or it will be a successful, or it will take the to the new level, logistics company to the new level.
Okay. Now you're talking about e-commerce.
Yes, sir.
Right. See, I'll tell you, e-commerce has really picked up well. There's no doubt about it. Today, I used to work for a company called Gati. Some people may have heard about this organization. I was heading their international business from a business development perspective. And they used to have an e-commerce, division as well. Now, to get to a level of a 30 minutes kind of a delivery is not so easy, because what happens is that if you have to, get into, such a short span of delivery, you need to have a lot of warehouses where you can really store your goods and be able to deliver from there. But what is really happening is that there are some regional warehouses which have been built depending on the volumes which are now building up. So now, what is happening is that definitely a 24-hour delivery schedule is already in place. I think in the near future, what can be really practically obtained maybe is a 12-hour delivery kind of a schedule. That is possible at this stage. We'll have to see how it really builds up on the volume. See, because the e-business or, like we had a big retail boom earlier, a lot of companies are still struggling, the retail companies are still struggling, so we still need to see as to how the e-retail will really do. Right now, of course, there is a lot of hype and there is a lot of investments which are going into it, but let's see how it goes. The volumes will actually define how the service levels will go. Yeah.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah.
So here.
Yeah.
So my name is Pratik Jain from BMHRD. So there is a lot of bureaucracy involved in logistics. It became very difficult for individual business unit to deal with this. How a company like your deal with their beside having networking?
Okay, so you're saying the bureaucracy in terms of what? What is the issue that you're trying to say, that under what circumstances? Is it bureaucracy or is it, what is your point?
The restrictions while transporting the goods and services.
restrictions on by whom? The government authorities.
Yes, sir.
No, there are, see, some of these, I won't call them restrictions. I think some of these are process driven, which is also very important. Like, for example, if you have to, distribute the hazardous goods, or if you have to distribute the odd dimension goods, a lot of manufacturing sector goods. So you have to also take care of the environment. You have to take care of the infrastructure. I'll tell you, like, we also move lot of pieces, individual pieces, which are like 8 meters high. So can you imagine, if it is 8 meters high, you will definitely come across lot of bridges to clear it. So I think it is very important for us, and we work very closely with the national highways, with the government authorities, to make sure that we are able to facilitate these movements and facilitate these customers. And when we know that some of these, or rather I would say most of these projects are very infrastructure based projects, so definitely the government today is definitely coming forward to help us. So I think we are collaborating with them, and things are definitely improving. I do not see any much issue in that. Yes, infrastructure is an issue in terms of building the infrastructure. Yes, that is an issue, which is being addressed. Hopefully, we all are hopeful with the, the unanimous government in today. We are definitely hopeful of a lot of improvements to happen. Yeah.
As we are running short of time, there will be no more questions in this session. Thank you so much.
I would still just allow maybe a last question if somebody wants to ask.
Yes, sir. Sir.
Sorry.
Hello.
But,
Sir, I'm. Hello.
Yes,
sir.
Hello, sir. I'm Rohan from SBS Operations. So, as you said that the transportation cost is 15 to 20% of the total cost. So, as compared to other countries, you said, so it is quite high because the diesel prices are rising every month by 50 paise, as we know. So, how can we reduce the transportation cost? What are the other alternatives?
Okay, good point. See, there are two major alternatives. One is, as you must have seen in the PPT also, is that we definitely want more skilled manpower. We want people who can bring in efficiencies. We want better productivity. So you should actually know that how many jobs, like we actually, when we look at our R&D and when we look at our operations, we look at how many jobs can one person execute in a day. So if you have a team of 200 people, how many jobs can that person execute in a day? And then you give them training. We have a big training center. So we give them a lot of trainings in terms of improving their efficiencies. And actually that is the game today. Yeah? Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for really hearing me out. But it was a pleasure coming back to an institute. You always go back and become a little nostalgic about when you start. When I started 16 years back, the same kind of expectations and things and we had in mind. So it's like, feel very nostalgic coming back to the institutes. So thank you so much for having the patience in hearing me out. Thank you.